Hello and welcome to the latest episode of How to Draw Awesome Animals with your friends at Peppermint Narwhal. This is the video series where we teach you how to draw animals in a fun and simple way while we share facts about the species as we go along. So let's take a look at the animal that we're drawing today. And today we have another fascinating animal, and this is a pretty cool shark known as the Goblin Shark. If you're not familiar with this animal, we'll talk a lot about it today. If you have seen it, it's become popular with Shark Week of late. It's been featured over the years, and because it's such an interesting shark, it's become very, very popular. But the Goblin Shark is its common name, and as you can see here, we've listed its scientific name below that, and it's in its own genus all by itself, and it's listed as least concern, so that's good. It's right now populations are plentiful and stable, and again, at the time of the recording of this video, that's its status. That comes from the IUCN's Red List of Threatened Species. So we'll go ahead and get this out of the way, and we'll go ahead and start drawing. I'm using pencil and paper as always, and I'll go ahead and sort of set up here on my paper. We're gonna need a decent amount of paper. This guy's gonna be long, so we'll go ahead and start at the very sort of far side of our paper here. And I'll put a dot here, and I'll put a dot here, and I'll put a dot here. So I've got 3 dots. I'm gonna make a little curve line there. And that's why I use 3 dots for kind of a curving line, and that middle dot sort of serves as the arch of the curve. It's a pretty harsh arch there. We've got almost like a V shape there, or a falling V. And from this shape, I'm going to put a dot here, and a dot here, and a dot here. And it's 3 dots. It's almost gonna look like a straight line, but it's a subtle curve to this. There we go. Just kind of bringing that along. That looks pretty good. Now, from this dot here, at the end, we'll go ahead and now just sort of bring it up slightly with 3 dots, and just kind of raising that up just a little bit there. Okay, that looks pretty good. And then from this dot, we use that dot here, kind of about maybe over here to that point, and then another point there. We're gonna have a nice big subtle curve, kind of working our way to the back of the animal here. And now from this dot here, we're going to sort of bring this down here. 3 more dots. Again, very subtle curving line there. That looks pretty good. All right, so that's going to take us to the back side of the animal here. And now we've got to kind of, from this point here, we'll put a point here and a point there. And then we've got a nice curve going there, now that direction. And then from this dot here, we'll put 2 dots there and use that end dot again for a nice curve there. All right, so this point here, we're going to use and then put 2 dots pretty close together there, and we'll give a little notch. We're actually working on the caudal fin of the tail fin of the animal. So now from this point here, we're going to put a dot here and a dot down here, and just kind of bring this as a nice curved line just like that. That looks fine. And then from this dot here, put a dot here and a dot there, and then kind of bring that back down. That looks pretty good. All right, so we're actually at the tail here, so we'll go ahead and from this point here, we're actually going to put a dot here and a dot here, kind of bring a curved line in here, and then put a dot here and a dot here, and just kind of bring that shape, so that kind of muscle group there, that sort of steers the tail there. Looks pretty good. All right, so we'll leave that tail area for a little bit. Actually, we'll maybe just put a little more here, 3 dots there, and just kind of bring that back there. That looks fine. Okay, now we're gonna come way back over to this front here, and we're gonna pick this point here, and we'll remind you that there's a dot there. So we'll go ahead and put a dot here and a dot here. That looks pretty good. And we'll just kind of connect those nicely there. That looks fine. Okay, so now from this point, we're actually going to put a dot up here, and we'll use that point, and then we'll use a dot there. So we've got 3 close dots there. And we're just gonna make a nice curving line there. Now from this point here, I'm just gonna make it's a little tight, so I'm just gonna make a little bit of a U-shaped curve there. That looks fine. And now from the end of that point, I'll go ahead and put 2 more dots, and then we got a nice 3 dots there. And we're working on the mouth of our goblin shark. So there we go. We've got from this point now, we'll come down and 2 more dots from the end point, 3 dots there, a nice curved line. That's looking pretty good. And then from this point here, we'll put 2 close dots together, and then we're starting to get the jaws of our goblin shark. All right, so we'll go ahead and finish this off here with a little bit of 2 more dots kind of close together here. Just a nice curve there. And then from this chin side, we'll just kind of take that out with a subtle curve line there. All right, so let's come back to the mouth here, and let's go ahead and put a little dimple smile here, a little curve there. And we're gonna put some teeth. They have very sort of sharp, grasping teeth that come off this sort of jaws here. So I'm just gonna do those by kind of making like almost these grass-like or leaf-like shapes here, like curved V's. So there we go. We got some nice teeth there in our goblin shark, and that looks pretty good. Now the one thing that's very fascinating about this jaw is the jaw actually kind of projects out. I'm actually going to put just a curving line here, and a curving line here, just kind of indicating that this jaw actually sort of snaps out. So if you ever seen if you're a little kid, you probably haven't seen this movie, but the Aliens movie where that inner jaw sort of comes out of the alien mouth, this actually jaw just sort of pops out of the mouth and can lunge forward and catch prey, and it does it very quickly. So it's an extra bit of snapping mechanism that it has to catch prey. I'll go ahead and put an eye right about here. A small eye. We'll just sort of draw a nice sort of oval here, and again, I'll leave a little bit of the white of the paper, color in most of it, but leave that white of the paper there. So that looks pretty good. There we go. We got that nice goblin shape. Now, we've actually done this very long projectile snout. I'm just going to sort of come back to the snout here and put a dot here, dot here, dot here, and show the underside of it. So I got a nice curve starting there. And then from that dot here, I'm going to kind of work it back towards the eye here with a nice curve. And then from this dot here, just kind of take it back a little bit over the eye here. A couple more dots and curve it just around the eye there. So there we go. We've got that really distinctive extended snout, which really defines this animal. And they believe that this, they don't quite exactly know the origin for how it evolved this and how it uses it, but it's believed to be something like the hammerhead, where it actually might give it extra sensory ability to find its prey and hone in on it. Again, remember sharks, if you didn't know, sharks have all these little dots on the tip of their snout, and that's called the ampural orenzini, and basically it uses this extra sensory organ where it then can detect electrical energy of prey in the water, so fish that are swimming by, or squid. This guy's a very deep sea shark, so a lot of times he's eating fish that are out in the dark and out in the not a lot of light down there. So it helps to have extra sensory ability to sort of find things when maybe your eyes aren't going to do the job. All right, we're going to go put a dorsal fin on this shark, and he's got a sort of he's got a little rounded, not the biggest dorsal fin. So we'll go ahead and put 3 dots there. So go ahead and kind of round those off just like that. And then from this end dot, we'll bring it back down just like that. And this guy's not the fastest swimmer of sharks. He's definitely doesn't really need to be. He kind of operates in the dark, cold waters there. So not necessarily needing to be a fast, speedy shark like a mako shark. So we'll go ahead and put the back fin here. So get another small fin here. So bring a dot there, dot there, dot there, round it off. And there we go, we've got another one of those back fins there. So we've got our top fin, dorsal fin, then coming back. And then again, we've got this big tail fin here. All right, so now we're going to come back to the front side here. We got to start at dot there, put another dot here, and work these two into a nice curve from that origin dot. And then we'll put a dot here. We'll use this dot here, Now we'll use this dot here and we'll start the pectoral fin. So that looks pretty good. So the dot there now, dot there, continue that back around, and then kind of coming up, just a little bit of a subtle curve there, kind of a oar-shaped sort of pectoral fin. Kind of 2 more dots there, working our way back. There we go. That looks pretty good. Okay, so there we go. I've got one of those. And we'll just put another one on the other side here. I'll just sort of put a dot here and a dot here. And dot here and dot here. Continue that. And then from this point here, we'll just kind of make 3 real close together. Bring that like that. And then from this one here, kind of bring it, and then bring it all the way back there. So we got a nice second fin there on the other side. That looks pretty good. So now we're going to come back to the bottom side here, put a dot here and a dot here, continue that back off. And now we're going to add the pelvic fin. So the pelvic fin will come here, put a dot here, and a dot here. And just kind of connect these like that. And then from here, we'll just sort of make 3 dots, just like that. And then we'll just sort of stitch those together there. And then we'll just kind of continue the rest of this. And now it has one more fin back here. It's called the anal fin. So we'll go ahead and put a dot down here, a dot down here, and a dot here. Bring that down. And then just a straight line there. And then bring it right back to there. So that looks pretty good. So now, again, this shark's called the Goblin Shark. You can see probably how it got its name, and it has sort of this fearsome looking thing, but actually the name sort of comes from, these are common around all sort of, it's found as a broad range found in the Pacific, Indian, and Atlantic Oceans, but it's very common off the coast of Japan. Japanese fishermen would find this fish, and it has such a fearsome looking face that they actually gave it the name Tengu Zame, which basically stands for demon shark. And it sort of loosely translates into goblin shark, as it has now become its popular name. But they kind of had a menacing looking name. A lot of times we unfortunately see animals with, you know, certain adaptations that are very helpful for doing things like sharp teeth, or, you know, certain type of eye or a certain type of face. And unfortunately we kind of make those seem more menacing or more mean, and that's not really accurate. That's something called anthropomorphizing. So it's basically when we kind of project human-like characteristics onto animals. This animal's certainly not a mean animal. It's really neutral in that respect. In fact, it really doesn't pose any real threat to people because we really don't encounter it at all. All right, so I'm putting some gills on here, and typical sharks will have sort of 5 gill slits here. Now, there are a few sharks that have almost all sharks have 5, but there are some that are exceptions. There's a 6-gill shark, which has, of course, 6, and then there's a 7-gill shark, which, of course, has 7. So there we go. We got our 5 gill slits there. That looks pretty good. So now we've got this sort of shark completed. It's a definite fun-looking goblin shark. We'd love to see how yours turned out. These guys get pretty big. The goblin shark sometimes also goes by the nickname elfin shark. I'm not exactly sure why I got that name, but if you want to look that up, it's also known as the elfin shark. And again, these guys get pretty big. They can be up to almost 13 feet long, and so the largest specimen was 12.6 feet long and weighed 463 pounds. So not the biggest shark in the world, but it's certainly a very large shark. And again, distinguished by this very flat-nosed shape here. And we talked about possibly the ampule of Lorenzini extension here that might also benefit like hammerheads for helping to find prey, but they're still studying exactly how it uses that. So again, here's a really fascinating deep sea shark. It's definitely one that makes Shark Week pretty exciting. Again, we'd love to see how yours turned out. You can share that with us using the hashtag #MintySketch. And again, remember, if you need an adult to help you post that online, use that hashtag, and we'll be able to see your drawing and comment on it, and other people who have followed the series can as well. We hope you liked this video. If you did, please give this video a like. We appreciate that. It helps the page. And then, of course, if you are a fan of this series, you can subscribe to the channel and get updates on future videos. And we hope to see you back here soon in another episode of How to Draw Awesome Animals with your friends at Peppermint Narwhal.